Today is a good day to talk about the hottest city in Europe. If you were to ask, what city is the hottest in Europe? Most people would say, well, maybe Spain, Southern Europe. Well, you wouldn't be wrong because I wouldn't think it would be Scotland. Yeah, okay. But okay, let's be more precise. What city is it? But it is not what most people would think. Most people, when you think about the heat wave that everyone's talking about, oh, London's going to get 30 degrees. Everyone's like, oh, that's very hot, very unusual. I don't know how we're going to cope. We need to start doing what the Spanish did, siesta. And the Londoners, are you out of your mind? You need to go to work. But anyway, so let's get to the story. The hottest city is not in what's it called? Paris, and it's not even Sevilla in Spain. It is not even Athens. By the way, the city with the hottest summer in Europe is Athens, and it gets about over, on average, 30 degrees constantly. And if you've ever been to Athens, you would understand what they're talking about. It just gets hot. And we're not even talking about the hottest months like July, August. And then you have, Sevilla, and then you have in Cyprus, and then Rome. I was surprised to see Rome on the list, actually. I wonder maybe because I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to be that hot in Spain. Just similar to when you go to Paris, it's hot, on a summer's day, but that's all you get. But now, when they say there's a heat wave, it just doesn't make sense. All right, now let's just get to the story. Apparently, Valletta in Malta is the hottest city in Europe, and you're thinking it doesn't make sense. Is that even Europe? By the way, where is Malta? Yes, and that's what makes it. Basically, Malta could have just been glued to Northern Europe. It is even lower than Tunisia, Tunis, the capital of Tunisia. So it is somewhere there just south of Italy. That is where it is. It is a tiny island of about 500,000 people, and that's it. And you're wondering, well, that's not Europe. Well, technically it isn't, but technically it is also Europe. So in the 70s, what they did was they looked at the people there and they said, well, there's a mixture of, because of trade and all this, a mixture of Arabs, but most of the people apparently who came and lived on the island were people mostly from Sicily or somewhere in Italy, somewhere Sicilians anyway, and other people from the region. And so, because of that relationship in the 70s, they were saying, okay, well, let's sign an agreement. And the reason why some of these agreements is this, that you don't want, if you don't make this part of Europe and you can use them as a strategic location, something like similar to what France has with the former colonies in Guadeloupe in the Caribbean somewhere, or in the Pacific. You have all these islands that are French territory, and the strategic advantage of having those places is that when France decided it was going to do a nuclear test, they went there and just did a test there. They didn't really bother about, the implication of radiation on the local population. Or if they were not too happy, we'll move them to another island that we own, or we just move them to France and they'll shut up. You get the point. So Malta was basically the same thing. The Europeans were like, we can't afford to have another foreign power owning that island and putting nukes or whatever it is there. So then in 2004, Malta fully became official European, and if you go there, you need to spend euros, and they speak English. Most people speak English, and Maltese. You would actually expect them. I would think Maltese is probably a sort of a dialect of Italian or something, Sicilian. Anyway, almost like when people Corsica in France, there are a bit of there's a long story there. Anyway, Monaco has the same thing in the family, and migration over the years. Anyway, so the reason why Malta is the hottest, Valletta is the hottest city. That's how I pronounce it anyway. I thought it was actually Spanish before, but then apparently it's more closely linked to Italian. Anyway, so why is it hot? Well, location, it's in the middle of nowhere, very close to, hotter countries in the North Africa. So basically, Middle East, all the North African Middle East, that location somewhere there. And you would also think that being an island with the breeze coming from the Mediterranean and all these other ocean or seas, it's going to look nice and fresh. But apparently not. The vapors, the heat of the sun in that location, and it just creates a lot of humidity. It gets so hot that people are like, I can't take it anymore. I need to move, or I need to earn more money and have air conditioning. So, we're going to talk about some of the problems facing Malta. One of the complaints a lot of people have when they go to Malta for the first time is that they have this image in their mind that it's just going to be a laid-back place. It's going to be easy. It's going to be like going back in time. And then they get there, they're like, wow, this place is hectic. There's traffic jam and just people everywhere, a flats and apartment everywhere, and you can't get it. It's just so chaotic. I don't understand it. But it's nice. I like the beach, especially when you come back with a nice tan. And people, have you been on holidays? Yeah. So it's got that going for it. But anyway, so there are two types of people. Those who like it and go multiple times, and I've been there multiple times, and those who are not sure, but they wanted to experience it, and they're a bit reluctant after reading how chaotic the place could be. So you have those as well. But others of us said, look, don't worry about it. Just go experience it yourself. It is chaotic, but not the level of chaos that you see in Southeast Asia, but you can still enjoy yourself. So that you've got that going for you. Now, one of the things people complain, or the locals complain about, is how expensive the place is. It is so expensive because you would think, being that far away from mainland Europe and, on the same level as Tunisia, you'll be thinking you'll be getting North African prices. Oh no. This place, some people have said it's just almost as expensive as London. And you're thinking, if I have to move from, go on holiday from London to another location, I want it to be cheaper. You see, I'm already paying for the flight. I want it to be cheaper. But anyway, the weather is better. It's hotter. It's the hottest city. You get the hottest city in the in Europe, and then you come back with a nice suntan, and you're peeling your skin because you forgot. Even with sun, sometimes in some locations it's so hot that you don't even with sunscreen or sun cream screen, it still doesn't help. I don't know what I'm talking about there, but anyway, you get the point. Basically, you cannot go there and go and bathe in the sun. It is just too hot. So let's talk about other problems apart from people complaining about how expensive it is. Another thing is that the place is constantly expanding. People say the noise, constant construction is just not a good thing, and all the greenery, people are like they just cut everything down. Expansion, a lot of Airbnbs, basically capitalizing on the over tourism, which is another problem. More people coming in, spending, and then you build because you want to capitalize on that, and the fact that the place is popular and it gets a lot of sunshine and it's just different. You're far away from everything. People want to experience that. And others are saying this is a good moment to invest and make a lot of money. We don't really care about the environment. So that is one problem. And we've talked about more cars. It's like the island, they didn't even think maybe we should recreate things to make it a bit more pedestrian friendly, because the more cars you have, the more pollution you have, the more congestion you have, and then basically other problems, health issues because of the pollution. You don't really want that. And then people have said, even if you were to hire a car, you might not even want to do that. Take public transport, because if you hire a car, you end up just sitting in traffic all day because and then parking is just going to be a pain. So if you can Uber it, do that instead, rideshare. All right. Then other thing is that with the amount of people coming in and low wages that are being paid, you would expect it to be cleaner. You pay people less, but they clean the city. But people complain about it's not a very clean place. You would expect it if you pay in London. Well, London has improved. I don't. It doesn't matter what people want to say. London isn't as dirty as Paris, in my opinion. Well, Paris, some places have improved as well. Other places still, well, still lacking. So you would expect that an island that's portrayed to be hot and like paradise, and people are not getting that feel, especially if you live there and you're not well paid, and then you're not even going to be bothered about cleaning and everything. So people are saying it's not a very clean place. So you add in pollution to the problem, you add in littering to the problem, and then air quality isn't great. So, well, what has it got going for it if it's that bad? Well, it's hot. It's got that going for it. So that's a good thing. What else do you have that people complain about? Yeah, people complain about, I'm broke living in this paradise. Maybe I should move somewhere else. And the fact that they're building more skyscrapers, to get a view of the sea. People investing money in the country. And now tourism pricing locals out. Just similar problems like Spain. But it is hot, so it's still got that going for it. But then, just similar to Spain, people are beginning to complain. Oh, what is going on? They're taking over all these what's it called? Tourists coming in and taking over everything. And it is said that places like the Blue Lagoon get over 10,000 visitors per day. It's good money because most visitors will come and spend their money, but then if you're not getting a share of the cake or the pie, that's not very good. So a lot of people are complaining that the more people from outside coming in and investing money and living there and pricing the locals out, then the culture of the island is beginning to shift, and they're not liking it. But then that is, yeah, you can't really complain about that. I think most people who complain is basically if you're not getting a good share of the deal. Some people are making a lot of money, and then the wage gap is just getting worse because more visitors are coming in, but the living cost is getting higher because, well, more people competing for less resource, and you're not getting your share of it. You're not the pay is still lagging behind. That's not good. And the young people here, if tourism takes over basically any place, you get only seasonal jobs, and seasonal jobs for young people is not a great thing. You want a career. Maybe when you're at a university you're still studying, that's fine, but others are saying the young people are complaining about their career in the future, and the fact that there's a lot of corruption. They feel that if the island could be better if the corruption is tamed a bit, but because of that it means the investments is not really often helping the local people. And the locals complain that, look, the weather here is good and it's bad at the same time. So we don't get like half or half. It's like, is either so hot or just miserably wet. So Malta doesn't do average. Mile is just like all or nothing. So most people, because you're not well paid, means you can't afford the luxury of having echo or dealing with that. But I was actually surprised that with all that Malta did not get the same issue in 2003 when there's this massive heat wave in all of Europe, and you don't get a lot of casualties from that heat wave. They probably just figured it out, being in the south. They're just like, all right, it's hot today, we're just going to go slow and not kill ourselves, and look after the elderly or things like that. But I don't know how they were able to pull that off, but that's good that they did not have to deal with what France had to deal with. So from that perspective, I think they did well, because that is less. I mean, the island isn't that big, only about over 500,000 people, and you're losing so many people, like France did, I think, about 15,000 in one summer. That's not good. No, yeah, I can't remember, but the numbers are rather alarming. It was a lot of people. So anyway, that's the story of Malta. So you have Athens, that's big and that's hot, but the smallest city in Europe, Valletta or Valletta, is the hottest as well, and the reason for it is that it's closer to Africa than probably closer to Europe.